What an LLC needs to open a bank account. We're going to go into details. I'm actually going to just read you a checklist. It is so critical. And so many people do not have their documents because you go to a .com, you go to LegalZoom, you go to one of those cheap little places. They do not give you what it needs to open a bank account. Then you just stay stranded. You have an LLC that you can't even operate. So get a pen and paper. We're going to talk about these items. What are the documents you need? We're going to make a complete checklist of what do you need to walk into the bank to get a bank account. Number two, how do you use that EIN, tax ID number? How do you use that? And why do you need it? Really important. And there's a whole $1 trillion tip. I'll just give you a hint, corporate credit. That is critical to using that EIN properly and having it set up right. And then number three, which most people blow, and I'm going to give you a huge gift at the end, is an operating agreement. Because you're going to need one, and most of you don't have the right things. So stay tuned. At the end, I'm going to give you a gift of an operating agreement. 30-minute conversation. Most people have to pay for it. So if you don't listen to the end, you don't get it. All right, let's begin. What are the documents you need? So I'm going to just kind of go through them, make sure we don't forget anything. The LLC formation, just the basics. So if you just go to the Secretary of State, they're just going to give you an Articles of Incorporation and just like one or two documents. You're not getting a full deck. If I had it with me, I don't have it here in studio today, but you actually get with our company a corporate binder. And in the corporate binder, you get a corporate seal, you get all of the membership certificates, you get stock certificates that have to be sealed and documented and held in trust for your trust to be funded right. So if you go to most of those like .coms, what they'll do is they'll get you for $99, you can get your entity, but then you have, by the time you're done getting every document it needs to go to the bank to get a bank account, you're at $1,700 to $1,800 and no help. So I want you to click on the link below. You're going to only use my company that I use now for over 20 years. I use the same company, the same registered agent, the same document producing company, the same compliance company to make sure everything's correct. If you're ever audited, guess what happens? They're coming for your documents. And if you don't have a binder with all the right documents, well, number one, you can't even get functional. You can't even open a bank account. And because the banking regulation and the rules have become so stringent from, KYC, which is know your customer, to all these banking laws and getting that structure, even merchant providers need all of your corporate documentation now. You just can't go open a more sophisticated merchant provider so you can process money without some of these documents. So again, the documents you need, basic corporate formation documents, articles of incorporation. You're going to need the certificate of formation, the documents that are legally recognized by your state. So some of you have business licenses in the state, some of you have business license in the county, some of you have business license in the city or the borough, depending on what state you're in. You need an employee identification number, tax ID number. I'm going to come back to that in a minute, talk more about using that for corporate credit. But you're going to need all of that. You're going to send that in as well. You're going to need an operating agreement. I'm going to come back to that as well and dig in. But your operating agreement, if it's just you as an owner or just you and your LLC is held in trust, which is the way it should be, then your operating agreement has to state that. It has to state things like what happens when you pass, what happens if you sell, how many share certificates are you giving, and then inside your corporate binder, you actually have to document like share certificates that you're giving your trust, because that's how you fund your trust. And there should be a corporate seal. It's this cool little formation that embosses inside the actual stock certificate. If those aren't sealed, most states will put you through probate because they're not going to say your trust is funded. That's been a new, really rigorous application by the estate departments and the probate courts. Why? Because more and more people, because of people like me, are getting a trust. So the states are making less and less money on a probate because I'm like beating a drum of get a trust, get a trust, get a trust. My 23-year-old son is in the process of getting a trust. Why? Because he's going to inherit a lot. And even what he has already is enough that why send any of it through probate? I don't even care if you're worth $50,000. Why would you give $25,000 of it to your state? A trust does not cost that much. I want you to go to the link below and get a trust, get incorporated with our teams. So Generational Wealth Systems is the place where you're going to go get a trust. You're going to go click on the link below. There's a second link, different company, same team, but you're going to get incorporated properly. And again, ours is between $2,000 and $2,500 to get all of the corporate documents and the support. You're not have to pay a lawyer $500 an hour to get all this done for you. So by the time you're done at LegalZoom, just using them as an example, you're at $1,700 to $1,800 just for the documents. Doesn't even include the binder. It doesn't include any help. And then they'll say, well, if you need help, click here and go talk to a lawyer. Well, first of all, you're getting in line to some generic lawyer who doesn't know you. You're going to talk to him once. You might never get him back. So why would you have that relationship? It's too incongruent. You want to have one team, one philosophy, one principle, and do this right. So when you go to the bank, what else do you do when you go to the bank? Well, first of all, when you go to the bank, they're going to offer you, because of your EIN, a tax ID number, you're going to offer a credit card. Take it. Take the credit card that's offered to you from the bank. And you're going to take that same corporate credit. You're going to call us. You're going to use our teams, and we're going to help you get corporate credit. So now you have your Social Security number. No more sole proprietorships, none of that. And you have your personal bank account. Then you're going to have your LLC bank account and your EIN with your tax ID and corporate credit and corporate credit cards. When you're set up that way, you get to live corporate life. All of that is held in trust, which is defined by a will and your trust documents. So what do you need to go to a bank? More than you think. And I would go to a bank that is not a small, little isolated bank. There are a few credit unions just based on COVID that have come out of the woodwork and supporting entrepreneurs. That is a brand new thing. It is awesome. In the last 3 years, there have been more credit unions that are typically oriented for employees, and they have done amazing work to really go into the real estate space, the cannabis space, and really helping entrepreneurs get up and started even with business loans. So don't avoid credit unions. I know my earlier videos might have said, credit unions are for employees. They were. And a lot of them have shifted their tune and are actually great places to start for beginning entrepreneurs, because they do have credit cards. They do have corporate loans. They have a complete different process to help you entrepreneurs get up and running faster with more fundability. So before I continue with some of the operating agreement, $1 trillion tips and business licenses, I want you to subscribe to my channel. As you can tell, I'm not scripted. I know a few things, having done this for decades, and I want to help you understand business, understand money. You got to surround yourself by people who want this conversation and leave those, atrophy them behind. You're not going to convince them to come forward. Be in this conversation, be business owners together, be on this channel 5 days a week. Watch coming soon. We're going to be doing a cool YouTube journal about what are you learning? What are you going to do? So together you can start really shifting your relationship to money. You have the greatest opportunity in this recessionary time to actually build a lot of wealth and do it quickly. 12, 18, 24 months is a very typical, aggressive, and very assertive entrepreneur that leans in and says, I want your help. So click on the link below, get a strategy session with one of my senior strategists. And if you have any questions, go to askloral.com. and ask any question. The second and fourth Tuesday of every month, I come live and I give you little mini money makeovers and help you keep moving. Getting the trust, getting the company, get a strategy session, talk to our team. We're here to help you get this done right, get your banking done right. I can promise you, if your banking starts wrong, like we got to slow everything down, reposition all your banking. I have a lot of new clients who they just went to odd places. Banks that really don't support their growth as an entrepreneur or real estate investor. So let me help you get your banking right. I always say, what do I do different than most people? I start your banking properly. Now let's get back to that operating agreement. There are 9 things that no one talks about. There are 9 things in operating agreements. I call them the stock and block operating agreements, but there are 9 things. And a partner of mine, Scott, and I did a 30-minute video explaining those 9 steps and how everyone forgets them. Things like, what happens to the partnership if someone dies? What happens to the partnership if there's not a prenuptial? What happens to the partnership if there's not a trust? So if you want this list, go to the checklist below. You're going to have to opt into my list. Come see me at my Millionaire Intensive and get access to 9 things no one talks about in operating agreement, which will define your success and failure going forward. Last thing I want to talk about that a bank probably will want or need is your business license. It depends on the bank, depends on the state, depends on the county. So what I would do before getting or as you're getting your company is go walk into the bank, the credit union you want to use, ask them what their list is, and then go back, get it set up right, and bring in all your documents at once. If you want, I'd scan them in advance, or you're going to be there for a couple hours. So I usually get it all to the bank in advance, make sure they're set so I can just go in and do the final documents and the paperwork. So check if they need a business license, if they need sales tax ID licenses. So if you're selling a product and you charge sales tax, you're going to need that license. They're going to need that too. Everything about what you do, they're going to need. If your LLC is held in trust, they're going to need your trust documents. It's a heavier lift than you think. It's not difficult. It's just different. And a lot of you just haven't done it. So let us help you walk it through and make it simple and get your banking done, get your company done, get your trust done, all correct. The links are below. Let's start today.